Hi, I'm Tim Elkhorn, the radio play-by-play voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're watching Keeping It Real Sports.
Thank you for watching Keeping It Real Sports.
With Prince Bell, we watching Keeping It Real Sports, and we gonna be on this. We gonna be on a lot of times. I love the platform. Check in, it's the new way. Like, follow, subscribe, and do all that good stuff.
Come on. I told you I got you. Wanna talk about the game, he can talk about it. Tennis, match, golf, he can talk about it. Don't matter what it is, he can talk about it. Any sport dude, he know about it. Save your boy bum, don't doubt it. If he tell you that it is what it is. The real sports guy in the Sandman. Talk show game in the bag, man. Rep, don't have to throw the flag, man. Steve Taylor, Andy Sands. It's over, OVA. Game over, they don't play. From the fourth quarter to the ninth inning. NASCAR wheels keep spinning. To the 18th hole, he's still in control. Guy on the go. Coach never missing the play, cause he know the deal. This keeping it real. Sports. Come on. Keeping it real. Yeah. Let's go.
It's another edition of Keeping It Real Sports. I am your boy, the real sports guy, Steve Taylor. He is the Sandman, Andy Sanzada. And Sandman, we really didn't like any of the college games to pick today. So we kind of went with an NFL theme today, man. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, Steve. Sun's out. It's going to be a beautiful day here in the fall. We got a lot of college football to watch today, so I'm really excited. Browns Steelers on Monday night. It's going to be a really good one this year, I think. And I'm ready to rock and roll. We got a lot to get into.
Man, we got a lot to get into, man. Before we get started, special thanks to my guy, John Nowajeski, and Fizzy Bees Distributing, man, for coming on board, man, being one of our guys, one of our people that back us, man. We appreciate you and all your efforts, brother. We're striving to do great things, and we thank you for being in our corner. Sam, man, a lot has gone on this week, man. And so, man, we got to start off with a little thing we call Hot Off the Press.
All right, Steve, nothing hotter than this, right? I mean, unfortunate circumstances. Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles tendon after only 4 snaps with the New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills. Now, because of this injury, the NFL has come out and told stadiums to change artificial turf to grass. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of the players are sick of having to play on it. They've caused too many injuries. But Steve, the Jets, everybody was talking about them, not us, because we didn't even have them in the playoffs. But everybody else was talking about them as a Super Bowl team. I think maybe we foreshadowed this a little bit and saw an injury like this happening, and that's why we didn't believe in this team as much.
You know, Andy, we've kind of been good at foreshadowing things this whole season thus far. It's just the way that we look at things, man. It's a little bit different. And again, we like to keep it real. That's what we do here, man. We're going to tell it to you, give you informative reporting. That's what I like to do. But yeah, man, it's a sad thing for Aaron Rodgers. I hate to see him go down in such a way. But, man, a lot of noise going around, man. New York, Andy, it's a tough break.
What do you think? You think they stick with Wilson, or you think they look for another quarterback?
Now, you have to stick with Zach. You know, and the one thing that I will say about Zach is there's at least an adult in the room with Aaron Rodgers, and what you've seen is him emulate a lot of Aaron's mannerisms as far as playing the position of quarterback. Now, what he's going to have to do is emulate throwing the ball away, because Aaron Rodgers does not throw the ball to the other team. But you got to give him credit. They won the game, man, and they were down 13-3, so he brought them back to win the game. So, but you don't have much else going on, so you're going to have to buckle down, man.
You're going to have to rely on that defense to win.
Yeah, well, and that's been the recipe. The defense, we'll find out tomorrow, really, how good they are. Let's do some quick hitters.
Okay.
Quick hitters.
Start with historic wins at the U.S. Open, right? First of all, you got to start with the greatest of all time, right? I mean, Djokovic gets number 24. I love all the pageantry around the 24 with the jackets and the Mamba shirt and everything. Mm-hmm. But Steve, other than that second set with Medvedev, that second set lasted an hour and 44 minutes alone to go to a tiebreak. But outside of that, he really just took it to him. And this is what we saw coming. That's why we both picked Djokovic to win the title.
Yeah, man. It's just, the great keep getting greater, man. And, he is definitely one of the greats. And speaking of greats, Andy, again, foreseeing things. This is a foreseeing show because I foresaw the coming of Coco Gauff as she wins her first tournament. Andy, you've said, Steve, she's going to have to show me that she can step up and win a major. Andy, I saw the steps that were being planted. Cincinnati, to me, was the coup de grace. Now, this is the icing on the cake.
Yeah, how about this last night, right? The Rock has come back to WWE. I mean, this was just epic. And, first of all, to have McAfee there because College Game Day is in Boulder and Denver's only an hour away, and McAfee came and he was the one that brought The Rock out. I mean, hats off to WWE last night, Steve. They stole the show. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of Boulder, some people just can't keep their mouth shut. And I'm talking about Norval, who goes on. One thing you don't do is reference people's parents. And he referenced Dion's mother. It's not going to be good for you tonight. And trust me, 10 o'clock tonight, I'll be watching.
Well, what we won't be watching is Max Scherzer on the mound and the rest of the regular season. This is a massive blow to the Texas Rangers, who are in a dogfight right now for not just the division, but one of the wild card spots as well, Steve. He's had a history of injuries, and here it rears his ugly head once again. They say he could be back for the playoffs, but there's no guarantee they're going to be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and I tell you what else we'll see. We will see Kyle McCord as the starting QB for the Ohio State University, and rightfully so. Kyle has done everything that he should do. He throws the deep ball pretty well, has a great grasp of the offense. Kyle McCord is your starting quarterback.
All right, so like you said, we have an NFL-heavy show today, right? So let's get right into it. Let's start with storylines. Storylines out of week one, Steve, but we had to select just a few that we felt like we should break down here. So let's start with this one, and a statement made by the Dallas Cowboys, 40-0 in New York on the road on Sunday night. You still questioning Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, Steve Taylor?
Well, I'm still questioning Dak Prescott. I'm never questioning the defense, man. The defense showed up and showed out. And if you really look at what the Cowboys did, is they showed up on every side of the ball except for the offensive side of the ball. They didn't have to score the points because the defense was manufacturing the points for them. The special teams was manufacturing points for them. Man, when they can show up like that and really come to the party, they're going to be tough to beat. We're going to find out a lot about the Dallas Cowboys defense tomorrow, because if they go back and listen to what everybody's been telling them, how great they are, it is prime for a picking tomorrow against the Giants, the Jets. I'm just saying.
What a test for Zach Wilson, huh?
Yeah.
All right, another game that we felt like we should talk about was – now, Steve, I tried to warn you about this, okay?
Okay.
You know, San Francisco is a Super Bowl team, and Brock Purdy is the guy. I got news for people. He knows how to play quarterback. He knows how not to turn the ball over, and he knows how to manufacture the offense based on Kyle Shanahan's play calling. And I thought this was a masterful performance by Purdy and the offense. When do you hear of a running back that gets that kind of yardage on a Steelers defense? McCaffrey goes for over 120 yards. Purdy was efficient on the offensive end. And the defense is the defense with Bosa and their secondary. We knew that was going to happen. I'm flabbergasted that you picked Pittsburgh.
You know, sometimes I give you credit. You're right. You were right on this one. And however, as right as you were on this one,
you were right on this one.
Spot on this one. This was my lock of the week.
That was your lock of the week.
My lock of the week, hands down pick. I'm telling you, man, it's just, to me, when you go inside the numbers, man, Joe Burrow has a tough time playing against these guys. I don't care what the records are. I don't care when they are. And if you give Stefanski and that defense time to prepare like they had and be locked in on Joe Burrow, they made him very mortal last week. I love what the Browns did, and I told you there was a lot of talent there. I believed in them, and I tell you what, if they answer the bell this week, man, we might be looking at a different outcome for Cleveland. But yeah, as right as you were on the 49ers, man, we were spot on that one.
Well, did you see the crossover that Myles Garrett did on their center before he
he stood in front of him and told him, I'm getting ready to do the crossover move. Guy, he told you what he was going to do before he did it, and you didn't pick it up. Well, that's too bad on you.
Steve, even before Jim Schwartz arrived, the Browns have won 5 of the last 6 against the Bengals. They have their number. It doesn't matter if Joe Burrow was there.
Why it was my lock of the week.
Yeah. That's a great matchup for Cleveland, without question. Credit to you on this one. You saw the Rams as a possible playoff team this year. They looked like it last week. Matthew Stafford had the offense clicking. And, like you said, are we forgetting that there's a guy in the middle named Aaron Donald?
But see, you know what? And you're right. But see, what I want to do, just for a moment, is I want to take you back and rewind unto May the 6th. This was a Keeping It Real show, May the 6th. Let me take you back to there. Rewind the clock just a moment. Look at the Rams' overall draft. There's one guy, when I look at all of the highlights, Andy, when I look at all of the highlights of all of these kids, Puka Nacua, he leaps off the screen. It's not close. And I'm telling you, people, I was ahead of the curve on Cooper Kupp. And I'm telling you, Puka Nacua is Cooper Kupp reincarnate. When you look at him, go and look at it. Do the homework for yourself. Just don't listen to me when I'm telling you. It jumps off the screen. So Nacua, 10 catches, 119 yards. I saw it coming, Andy.
Yeah.
I saw it back then.
Here's what makes them dangerous is when Cooper Kupp comes back, because now you can't double, right? You can't. Who you going to double? You're going to double Nacua or you're going to double Kupp? It doesn't matter. The other one's going to be open.
And then Tutu Atwell. So. You got Tutu Atwell as well, who has come to the finally showed up.
I'm going to ask the Rambassador this. Any concerns about the running game? Because that's where people think there's a weakness.
If you really look at what the Rams did as far as organizationally, they changed from the zone running scheme that they traditionally ran. What you saw was man on man, which really plays to the strength of the team. You see a guy like Steve Avila, the rookie, man, he gets out and he blocks, man on man. That guy, you're blocking. It's not none of that zone stuff where it depended on the running back to catch a crease. You saw Kyron Williams really turn it on late in that game. Really, he averaged over 5 yards a carry. I like where we're at, man. Sunday, tomorrow is going to be a litmus test, but I'm telling you, people's not going to believe it until we kick the Niners in the teeth tomorrow. Yeah. And I said it.
All right, there you got it. So we don't have who you got this week, right? Because we just didn't like any of the games. The spreads were too wide. We don't want to make it easy. Plus I'm undefeated on the season. That's we don't need to add to that. But we're going to do something a little bit similar in the NFL, right? We're going to call it Who You Trust. All right, now there's 3 teams in this segment that are 0-1 that made the playoffs last year, okay? One of them won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
All right? Let's take a look. So we got Burrow and the Bengals, Mahomes and the Chiefs, and Allen and the Bills. Who do you trust to not go 0-2? I'm going to start with you first.
Wow. Well, for me, it's pretty easy. It's the man in the middle. It's the guy in the middle, because, you kind of foresaw the Detroit thing happening. I kind of saw that happening, and it took some unfortunate turn of events for them, drop passes by Kadarius Toney in particular, for them to actually win the game. They get a lot of their pieces back, so a lot of those questions will be answered. But I just thought that they would do a lot of stargazing, kind of what they did, looking at, celebrating what they did last year, and to kind of quote what Rocky said or the trainer said to Rocky, they think it's a fight. Well, the Detroit Lions thought it was a fight that night. They knew it was a game. Them guys were stargazing. I thought they were primed for the picking. I liked Detroit then. I don't think Kansas City will lose 2 games in a row.
Okay, so that kind of foreshadows your pick in the pick 6 coming up a little bit. Listen, I know it was a major struggle last week for Burrow and the Bengals, but I also know, because I know this division as good as anybody does, that Cincinnati owns Baltimore in that series ever since Burrow has put on that uniform. And they're at home. To me, that was the easiest one to pick. So I've got Burrow and the Bengals not going 0-2 against the Ravens.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Andy, I like that. I like that segment. Hey, man, here's another segment I got for you. Bounce back or same old quarterback. Are we going to see the same old things, man?
Okay.
So, I got 5 quarterbacks that lost last week, and we're going to see, or can we expect the same old, or will it be a bounce back week?
All right, let's start with Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. This is a game they should not have lost, Steve. Really, they shouldn't have lost this game. And, he just hasn't been able to do it in a Broncos uniform. So I think it's the same Wilson. I don't think he bounces back. I think we've got the same Russell Wilson. I don't think Sean Payton makes a difference. I think that there could be some talks of them looking for a quarterback, maybe a Kirk Cousins in the offseason.
Ooh. Man, you start off with a division game, man. Division games, man, are tougher to scheme for, tougher to plan for, because they know everything about your makeup more so than you. I think it's going to be a bounce back for Russell Wilson personally. Man, it's just too much talent, man, on that team. And then I trust Sean Payton.
Okay. We do have them making the playoffs, so he's going to have to bounce back if they're going to do that. All right, next we got Geno Smith. Did not look good against the Rams. I think he's going to have trouble against the Lions as well. I'm going to say same old Geno. He did it last year, Steve. It caught everybody by surprise. But now that there's film out on what the real Geno Smith can do, I think it's trouble. I don't think you're going into Detroit either and beating the Lions after their momentum coming off the Kansas City win. So I say more of the same this week for Geno Smith.
Well, the thing is, man, Geno only threw 9 interceptions last year.
Right.
5 of them were to the Rams. So
Yep.
that should kind of tell you what the Rams, how they scheme this guy up. Man, I don't think that it'll see more of the same. I think it'll kind of be more of a bounce back for Geno. Whether they win the game or not, that's to be decided, but I think it'll be a better game for Geno Smith.
All right. Ryan Tannehill was just awful, Steve. Absolutely awful. 3 interceptions in a game that Tennessee had a real good chance to win on the road in New Orleans. But, you know, he has a tendency to bounce back after a game like that. He really does. And I like their matchup this week. So I'm going to say he'll bounce back this week. Maybe not throughout the whole season, but if we're talking just this week, I'm going to give him a bounce back.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you, man. I think, Ryan Tannehill will have a bounce back. I mean, for crying out loud, he can't be more god-awful than he was last week.
Right.
So I'll go with that.
All right, and the last one we're going to – or we got 2 more, sorry. Justin Fields, boy, the Bears. Everybody said, maybe this could be a sleeper team in the North. We just didn't see it. Steve, I still don't think he has the weapons. You got to give this guy more help. And he's going to Tampa Bay to play a tough defense on the road. I think it's going to be another tough week. I'm going to say the same Fields.
Yeah, man, it's sad to say that, man. But, at this point, man, they're starting to look more like the bad news Bears than the Chicago Bears. It's sad. They trade for Claypool last year, man. Well, now I hear that he's on the fringe of being released. It just hasn't been good for Chicago. I'm sorry to say, nephew, I think it's going to be more of the same.
And then lastly, we've got Daniel Jones and the Giants. They get shut out by the Cowboys at home on Sunday night. But, Steve, that was the Cowboys defense. They got the Cardinals this week. And you'll see here in a minute why I'm high on the Giants. I think he'll bounce back in a big way and get the Giants back on track.
Well, man, one thing about Daniel Jones, man, he is the epitome of what they want to do offensively, man. He is the centerpiece. If you looked at the Cardinals didn't look bad. They've got a defensive-minded coach, and they were in the game with the Commanders until late. I think it'll be more of the same. I think it'll be a bounce back for Danny Dimes, though.
Yeah. All right, so that's our bounce back or more of the same quarterback segment. Now let's take a look at the pick 6. You had a better week than I did last week. I didn't have time to get the records in there, but I know you were, I think, 4-2, and I was 2-4 maybe, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. Well, you made it a little difficult this week. I'm not going to lie. You picked some really tough games. Let's start with this one. Jacksonville at home, coming off of a big divisional win on the road. Even though they may not have looked that great throughout that game, they found a way to get it done, and that's what winning football teams do. Kansas City loses at home to Detroit, but they didn't have Chris Jones. They signed Chris Jones. They're back to being the Kansas City Chiefs. They are. And I'm like you. I don't think Mahomes can go 0-2 because of who he is. And, when Jacksonville was close in that game last year, Steve, Mahomes was hurt. He's healthy. I think it makes a difference. I think Kansas City goes in and steals one at Jacksonville. Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, look here, man. It's the Chiefs. And if you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars last week, they had to get up off the deck because the Colts punched them in the face. Mm-hmm. Anthony Richardson was really a handful for them guys. They didn't figure that thing out until late. Man, I have to go with the world champs, man. Them guys ain't going to lose 2 in a row.
All right, we talked about Geno Smith, whether or not he can bounce back. He's going to have to do it on the road in the Dome at Detroit. The Seahawks are a team that a lot of people think can get back to the playoffs, Steve, but you and I have the Lions winning the North. But this could be a little bit of a trap game because Detroit's coming off of all that hype after beating Kansas City in Kansas City, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you got to be careful with this one, but I'm still going to take the better team. And I think the Lions will get it done at home. Give me the Lions.
This here game is going to tell me what Detroit is all about. If Detroit has really turned the corner, then they'll be up for this game here. See, because historically, the Detroit Lions, after a big win, will always lay down and throw in one of those stinkers. If the Lions come up and they win this game, like I think they're gonna, then they're really the team that we expect them to be.
All right, let's go to the AFC North now, and we've got a divisional matchup between the Ravens and the Bengals. Look, I told you earlier, Burrow owns Baltimore, right? The Bengals own the Ravens in this matchup ever in the last 4 years. I think that continues at home. Give me Cincinnati.
Well, again, I'm your guy that spent a little bit of time in Ravens camp as well. And not so fast, my friend. This whole thing has been centered around this game here. Joe Burrow, I think, is more injured than they're letting on.
I agree with that.
And this is not the team to be putting a lame Joe Burrow on the field. Give me the Ravens to win.
All right, in our last game in the Pick Six this week, how about the upset last week by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go into Minnesota and win that game on the road? And you got to give credit where credit's due. Baker Mayfield did enough to win the game, but he's also done enough to grab the leadership role and get the belief out of his teammates from some of the film that I've seen in between last week and this week, Steve. And until the Bears can show me that they're a real football team, I can't pick Chicago in anything. And Tampa Bay's at home. I'd like the Buccaneers to go 2-0, and maybe it's a team we got to keep our eye on in the NFC South.
You see, you have to pay attention. I'm glad that you woke up early on this one, sir, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers still has that same defense that won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, people. They still have those dogs that's out there, man. They just have your boy Baker pulling the helm. And you got to, my hat's off to Baker, because Baker Mayfield read the defense of the Minnesota Vikings like a book. He told his receivers and backs everything that they were going to do before they did it. He stole their hand signals. My hat's off to Baker. Go, Baker.
All right, that brings us to our locks of the week. And listen, you get beat, you get shut out at home, you got to go on the road. You're playing a team that's supposed to lose because of the draft, right? I just can't see them going 0-2. The Giants get the win in Arizona.
Yeah, they better get the win. They better win. Man, I don't know, man. My lock of the week is, again, I go inside the numbers and I come up with those ones that say, Steve, did you really just take that? And then when I win, you're like, man, that was a great pick. Well, my lock this week is the Atlanta Falcons.
Hey, can we talk about one of the games we didn't talk about? Can we talk about the performance of Jordan Love last week? I mean, that was impressive, Steve. 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
That's exactly why I like Atlanta. That's exactly why I like Atlanta.
All right, before we go, we will talk a little bit of college football. And how about the win by the Texas Longhorns over Alabama last week? That changes our top 10. Right now, we've got Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Ohio State stays at 3, Florida State stays at 4, Texas moves up to number 5 because they beat Alabama, USC 6, Tennessee 7. Tennessee's got a trap game today, Steve. They better be ready for Florida. Washington 8, Utah 9. Listen, some people had Alabama dropping out of the top 10. Will you pump the brakes, please? It's one game. They're still one of the best teams in college football. They still could run the table potentially and have their names back in the thick of it. So we're not giving up on the Crimson Tide just yet. And I like the move by Nick Saban to change quarterbacks and go to Tyler.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. You're going to get a more of a traditional quarterback, so now they can go back to the wide open passing game that they've implemented over the last few years. Jalen Milroe was more of a one cut type runner and locked in on his receivers down the field. We saw that. At least they'll have the element of the pass game. We like Alabama. Look here, man. I'm just the one team that the nation seems to be high on. I mean, super high on is Florida State. I like Florida State. I don't love Florida State yet. I like Florida State. We're watching you. You're passing the eye test, but you haven't passed yet. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and another team we got to keep our eye on is Penn State too. I think they could crawl up into our top 10.
Man, again, just because, man, traditionally, man, because the coaches poll and the Associated Press want to say that you're supposed to be a powerhouse, man. Year after year, we watch you fall short, man. I'm not falling for that, man. I'm not eating the rat poison. You're gonna have to show me, Penn State, and if you get hiccup today and this team keeps it close today, then I'm going to feel better about my stance on you.
Yeah. Before we go, Steve, we got to get to that dude. How about Omarion Hampton, the running back from the North Carolina Tar Heels, 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's kind of hard to not give him the sticker on that one, right?
Yeah, man, you got to give him the sticker, man. But, man, the thing about, man, Carolina, man, we just don't know, man. We'll find out a little bit more about them. But to me, they are the most head-scratchingest team. It's like, are you the passing team? Are you the running team, man? You had a great defense, man. Do you have the playmakers, man? We saw you sucking gas last week against Appalachian State. Man, you're going to have a better showing today for me to believe that you're one of the top echelon teams in the nation.
And I know Ohio State's on at 4, but I'll be flipping to that game because I think Minnesota could catch them unsuspectingly today. We'll have to see. Like you said, keep an eye on that. All right, 94 in the book, Steve Taylor. We're getting close to that 100 mark.
Man, I know. It's been fun, man, but we got to run, man.
So until next time, we wish you love.
And peace, man. Chuck them deuces.